Have you all seen on the timeline the drama? I will always default to blaming Street Fighter players. They always start some shit and then my timeline gets fucked up for like a week and it's always their fault. So here's what went down. There was a money match between Pokey and Stack Bradford. And I want you to know, you know that I'm telling a true story because I couldn't have made either of those names up. They both make me laugh. There's a long story there. There's a lot of beef. It's about camaraderie, building yourself up, being torn down, like companionship and the lack thereof. They have a money match. After the money match is over, they like are cool with each other, and it's basically like, I just wanted you to say that I was a good player, and it's like, you know what, you are, and it's like, thanks man. And they like worked it out, and FGC people were kind of mad. They're actually kind of like, why did you guys just work it out? Couldn't you guys have like been mad at each other and not made out after you finished your set? Like, you know, people were kind of upset, but a lot of people were interested in this match. In fact, like, it had pretty good viewership relative to like probably the interest it should have gotten, which is proof that the storyline was interesting to people. And that was like the whole deal, right? So that's phase one. The next thing I see on my timeline is this, and this leads me to where we're gonna end up today. So fighting games are not good enough on their own for you with our high displays of skill that happens in game when you have to resort to drama and telenovelas to make it somewhat more interesting. I see you, Western FGC, I see you. A lot of people have a lot to say about this, right? And there's a lot to talk about. But what I think actually is the most important point of this tweet, why do people watch fighting game events? Now I'm going to start by saying there are some people, they just want to watch the best players play the game. They don't care where they're from, what characters they play. They don't care about whose sister's, girlfriend's, dog's cousin is in the audience. Like, none of that matters to them, right? They're just like, is this a good match between the two best players in the world? Is there a high level of skill on display? If not, it's not for me. If yes, then hell yeah, I'm in there. You don't need it to turn out that your aunt is your sister and like you can't remember because you have amnesia, and then you play a first to five and then somebody smashes their stick. It's a telenovela, guys. Like, come on, you know, this is what gasp in Spanish. Like, yeah, do you guys not understand? You don't need that to happen. What makes fighting games interesting to most people, right, is the stories. It's like that for most things. Interesting storylines can exist that are not fueled by drama. Maybe one of the most popular, if not the most popular, fighting game like rivalries is Goichi Sonic. Look at the viewership. You type in Goichi versus Sonic Fox, 2 million views on this channel, 1.8 million on this channel, 1.6 on this channel, 900,000 on the Beefy Techie channel here. Sonic Fox has a video about it. There's the fighting game's greatest rivalry, more Sonic Fox Goichi 344. There's like millions and millions and millions of views on this rivalry. And this rivalry is not built on drama, right? It's just built on like the two best players going at each other at one point, and then just a rivalry that you want to watch the two people play each other in a blue hallway, crossing their arms or whatever, right? Like, you want to watch that. Daigo and Justin, like the Daigo parry stuff that keeps coming up over and over. That's so funny. Like, everybody's laughing at Justin getting parried on Fightcade and stuff. That's not drama between Justin and Daigo. It's just the story of a really incredible moment in the scene that people resonate with. And so that moment is fun for people to watch, whether they're playing in any game. They could both be the two most washed up players on the planet, which neither of them are. And people would be interested in watching them play. Itabashi versus Nemo. It's funny every time, right? They could be playing 5 years from now and I'd still kind of be like, all right, what's going to happen? Just the showmanship and the interest in it is really fascinating. Punk versus Idom, the story there is just essentially, these are like the two best players in the US. They played in Capcom Cup finals. They played in like tons of different finals and tournaments since then. They always have really good sets, so people are always interested in watching it. Knee versus Arslan is the same kind of thing. They do have drama, but it's like only on Twitter, which makes me think that Twitter is the primary creator of drama in the universe. Like, it's like it defies what we know about reality because it can create matter, and the matter it creates is actually drama cells. But like, that's all it takes. You don't need anything else besides two players who are incredibly good. It could be around somebody who has like a Cinderella story that you're just like, oh, this is incredibly cool, right? People got hyped about L.I. Joe making top 8 at EVO that one year, and they talk about it more than anybody else in that EVO top 8. Could be around someone playing an unfamiliar or like unpopular character, or it could be around someone just purely dominating, right? It was a big storyline in the Street Fighter world when Punk was just incredibly dominant and was winning tons of events and smoking everybody all the time. And it was like, is this dude just the best? Like, the story was just, is he that good? Like, he's just smoking everybody. There's no drama really there. It's just like, damn, he is really good. This is the current storyline. What people find compelling is not necessarily drama, although drama is one of the things. It's the narrative or the story behind what is happening on the screen. And that can be drama, and it can be a lot of other things in between. Gobo Red Bull Kumite is just like crushing everybody with Zato, right? And he's making funny faces and stuff, but like really he's just kind of just smoking everybody with Zato. The story there is kind of just like, well, this guy is incredibly impressive and technical and very good. And then he picks Gold Lewis, and then he starts making funny faces, and he's like twerking on everybody with behemoths. The storyline changed from like a story that some people find interesting, and it is really interesting, that is just like, this guy is incredibly like solid and, you know, profoundly good and very technical, to this guy is, what is he even doing? He's silly, he's making faces. Gold Lewis is winning, like, oh my god, that's interesting because, you know, people think he's bad or whatever, right? The story of the event had changed from one to the other, and I think both are interesting in their own way, but it's like one that is not drama related at all. It's just funny. Whatever the story is, it's the job of the people commentating and talking about and attending the event to see what that story is and talk about it and elevate it. And if there's cool moments that happen, then people are really excited about it, right? To me, honestly, I feel like drama most of the time leads to the worst storyline. I think it's always better when it's a naturally elevated stakes. Like it's why like offline high level competition, the narrative being these two players are the best, or this match really matters because it's the finals of this event, or this really matters because it's this versus that. That's when it really feels elevated. And I think any storyline will feel better when it's elevated naturally. It doesn't get forced. It's just naturally, Punk and Idom are the finals of the tournament. It's not like you have to set up a first to 10 every week between Punk and Idom. It's like they're just that good and they keep running into each other. It's the same thing that happens, I think, with most interesting rivalries. It sounds so bad when it's forced. I think you can hear commentators try to force the drama and force the narrative sometimes when I'm like, it's not really that big. It's also hard in the moment to tell the story sometimes unless it's something predetermined. Like, I think the first time when Arslan shows up and wins the tournament, nobody knows anything about Pakistan Tekken really in the West. There are people who know that they have good players and they've heard about it and stuff, but really nobody knew the extent to what would happen afterward. That kind of mysterious, like, oh shit, do we just not know that everybody over there is mad fucking good? Like, what the? And then all of a sudden, it creates a really interesting storyline of like, what don't we know? It's much easier for there to be top level players all over the world than there ever has been. You know what I mean? Like, it's much more likely that people from everywhere are good than ever. And it's going to continue to be that way. The kinds of stories that people usually pick up and are more popular, like largely are things that are just, you know, big stakes matches between big players at a big event or something, right? If you ask like the average fighting game fan, you don't have to play Tekken, but if you ask them about Pakistan and Tekken, they'll probably be able to give you like an abridged version of what happened. LK versus the Beerus pick, that is premium drama that I cannot show on my stream or I'll get banned. Brian F versus his own misinputs, that is a good storyline too, yeah. It's funny how LCQ has always produced such fantastic storylines. They should always be streamed. You're about to see a red laser appear on my chest. This is how I got into trouble in the first place. Listen. Tekken fans versus guest characters is the drama that I can really appreciate. Hook versus the fat community, and then you post a Hook emote? Damn. It be your own sometimes, huh? In the case of 32-year-old Stacked Bradford, Brian F, you are the father. And the crowd's, oh. And Brian F's just shaking his head. That mustache is just wagging.